All right, we good to go, Sam? All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. Tonight is May 15th, Tuesday. Our regular meeting at 5:30. Shall we do the roll call?
Roll, Mr. Genowine.
Here.
Mr. Crandall.
Here.
Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Simcoe, here.
We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Were there any questions on the minutes from April 17th?
I'll move approval.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes. How about May 1st, guys?
I'll move approval.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes. Any additions or deletions?
Yes, I have one deletion under zoning department, 8.2, resolution 18061. We can remove from the agenda. It's been resolved.
Great. Thanks, John. I guess we got some good news here, huh, Paul?
Yes, we do.
Talk to me.
Am I up?
Yes.
All right, good deal. My first chance to get the hiring officer, come on up, Logan. We'll swear him in here. Kind of stand so your family can see a little bit there. All right, get some photos here. I gave him a copy already, so we'll do the swearing in here. This is Logan Hosley, our new hire here, so. All right, raise your right hand, Logan. And repeat after me, and if you need that, I'll give you the cheat sheet there. I, Logan Hosley,
I, Logan Hosley,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio
and the laws and ordinances of the Township of Sylvania,
and the laws and ordinances of the Township of Sylvania,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially discharge the duties of police officer and constable to the best of my ability.
and impartially discharge into the duties of police officer and constable to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, and here's your official.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations.
Appreciate your time.
Way to go.
Yes, too.
Sure. Yeah. Get a month of cross-training. Well, I always say you guys are more than welcome to stick around for the rest of the meeting, but it is a good time to go out and get some pictures and catch a dinner, so. Have a great night, guys. Thanks for coming.
Can we stand in our pose? Want pictures, you sure? You good? You can? All right.
Alrighty, do we have some people that want to speak on the agenda items this evening?
Yeah, it looks like everybody signed in for item 12.4, discussion of the noise ordinance, so.
Okay,
We'll
we'll just keep you guys holding just a few, that'd be great. Let's continue through then, okay. Zoning department? Hi, Darryl.
And the monthly report for April for zoning, we had 57 permits issued for the month. That represents almost a 24% increase over last year for April. Estimated dollar value was million, and that represents just shy of a 1% increase. Year-to-date, we're at 153 permits, 10% increase, and estimated value of $15 million. That is a almost 46% decrease from a year ago. Next page, Scott. Single-family dwellings continue to roll along. We've issued through the end of April 50 single-family permits. That's a 47% increase over last year. The estimated value is $13.5 million, a 10% increase over last year, and the approximate value per dwelling is just shy of $270,000, and that represents a 25% decrease from a year ago. Next page. Zoning complaints, the weather's starting to break a bit. So we had 24 complaints in the month of April. That's a 14% increase over a year ago. And 50 year-to-date, that's a decrease of 38%. Next page. Monthly meetings for the zoning department. The BZA did not meet. Zoning Commission heard the 3 zone changes that the trustees approved at the last meeting, and also the land use plan update. Project plan review, we had 2 cases, the A&A Engineering building being built in Renaissance Place, and Innovative Handling on Sylvania, which is expanding, they're building an additional building. Just a couple items of note. The zone change for the corner of Sylvania and Hurl Road was disapproved by the Lucas County Planning Commission in April, and the Sylvania Township Zoning Commission just heard it last week. They also recommended disapproval. That'll be before the trustees on June 5th. And then 2913 Republic Boulevard, the former Summit Academy Charter School, has been purchased by Kistler Ford, and they're looking to convert that into a body shop. And that will be through project plan review, actually tomorrow morning. That's all I have for the monthly report. My next item is Resolution 18071, authorization of abatement of vegetation and/or debris. This is our first high grass abatement of the year. It's at 6727 Monarch, one of our habitual offenders. The property has gone through sheriff's sale, though, and the new owner should be taking it over pretty soon, so hopefully that's the light at the end of the tunnel.
I'll offer Resolution 18071, authorization to abate vegetation at 6727 Monarch Drive.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darrell.
That's all I have.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. I have a monthly report submitted for April. Some items to note, the spring brush and leaf pickup. We collected 1,332 cubic yards of brush, which is about 400 or 500 less than last year. And spring pickup was for leaves was a little heavier than last year due to some of the stuff that was left over from winter. We actually did have one snow and ice control event where we had to go out and salt in April, right in the middle of our pickup. So next year we're going to push that back a week. Every year it just seems like winter drags on a little longer, so we'll give everybody another week to get things out. Other than that, we're starting our seasonal work, catch basin cleanup, doing some road repairs, street sweeping, stuff of that nature. In the service department, you can see some of the minor repairs on there. Some of note, we did decommission 2 police vehicles, one just the natural attrition, the other one was due to an accident, and they removed it from service. It was totaled by the insurance company. Maintenance department did some organization, had the range cleanup, the indoor range for the lead cleanup, had a company come in, start working on that. Second page, some of the projects, we're really just getting started, so you'll notice back in the trustees room there's several documents, title sheets, resolutions that we'll need physical signatures on for some of those. And you'll see those resos coming up. We did add Ottawa River log jam under the drainage improvements under number 5. You can scroll down just a little bit. There you go. An aerial view, and a resident notified us of a log jam back there off of Cambrian area. It's a significant log jam. You can see it from the satellite pictures. So Brian from the Lucas County Stormwater Engineer, he met me out there, and we're going to have that contracted out along with the small one that's on Sturbridge. They're going to let that float down and collect on the big one. They'll collect it all up down there. So that should, as soon as it dries up and they can get down, that's low ground down there. It's very saturated, so it may be into July before we actually are able to get in there and get out. So
The highest that water's been over there I've ever seen it, so something's going on there.
Yeah.
Have you made contact with the landowner?
Yes, we've made contact with the residents, power of attorney. She's an elderly woman who is in a trust, and he has assured us that he's going to give us right of entry to the property and to get it taken care of. So Brian from the engineer's office is working with them to take care of that, and that'll be paid for through the stormwater utility. That's all I have for the monthly report. If you have any questions.
I do not.
A couple items. Resolution number 18-066. This is to approve the plan and advertise for bid the 2018 OPWC resurfacing project. This would be the Gulf Creek project reconstruction.
I'll move resolution 18066, approve plans and advertise for bids for the 2018 OPWC resurfacing.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Resolution 18-067, this is authorized to advertise for bid and approve the plan for the 2018 resurfacing project, which is our second resurfacing project, which encompasses portions of Monarch Meadows and Farmbrook, as well as up in the northwest area off of Sylvania Met.
Offer resolution 18067 to advertise bids for the 2018 resurfacing project.
Second.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Thank you. And my last one is 18-072. This is a joint cooperation agreement between Sylvania Township and Lucas County for our 2019 Sylvania Township Public Works Commission. This project encompasses Wolfwood Road, portions of Whiteford Road and Subdivisions Road and Sturbridge condominium Wood subdivisions. This is for our 2019 project. This is a new type of resolution. The county now requires us to have a joint cooperation agreement signed when we're in these ventures, just so we know where money's going. There should be an Exhibit A as well, I don't know if that's attached. There you go.
I'll offer resolution 18-072, joint cooperation agreement between Sylvania Township and Lucas County.
Second.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Thank you. Scroll down just one little bit. There you go, right there. Just wanted to point out that this was a grant loan application that turned into a full grant. And the county makes that possible by getting our traffic counts up and helping us with those. So as you can see, portions of that $498,848 used to be loan money. So 50% of that used to be loan. The project scored so high that it came back all grant. So it's a really nice benefit to the budget. Thank you.
Good job, Rob.
Good evening. You have before you my monthly report. The pages are kind of long, but the report's kind of short. Front page, actually, we had Lieutenant Rod Standiford graduated from the Ohio Fire Executive Officers Program. I was actually able to go down, since I'm an alumnus of that program also, and was able to be there for his graduation. And the bottom pages, we had a group of our guys, we nominated them, a city dispatcher and a city police officer, for a service award through the Ohio, or the
Safety Council of Northwest Ohio, and they were awarded a certificate of going above and beyond. This was from the fire on McCold Road when we had the lady trapped, so it was a joint city dispatch and city police officer, and then our guys all worked well together. Unfortunately, she did pass away, but she was alive when they got her out of there, so they nominated them, and they won an award, so. Page 2 just basically has our guys that are, their anniversaries were up. We had quite a few of them. They're all over 15 years service for all the gentlemen. Page 3 was our fire EMS responses. Numbers are just slightly a little lower than last month's if you look at the report. However, not all of the reports were completed by the state of Ohio, so we're missing about 27 incidents in there that we were going back and forth to make sure the reports were correct. However, through the Ohio Department of Public Services, I went down to Columbus last Wednesday. We were able to win a grant. We won 2 tablets to use to do our EMS reports, so we won a state grant through the DPS so I went down last Wednesday and got 2 tablets that we won't have to purchase for the EMS reports. Incident types, obviously, on page 5. Disposition, mutual automatic aid's up just a little bit from last year, but like I've spoken to a few of you, that seems to be a trend, and also the trend of people going by private auto is up a little bit from last year also. Community risk reduction, both Chief Farrick and Chief Inspector Hill have been very busy with safety educations and getting ready for Safety Town and Safety City. Crews did quite a few fire safety inspections. We also did a couple of car seat installs. Both Becky and Jennifer are certified to do car seat installs, so we had a few of those done. Lucas County EMSCE, we did 256 hours. Fire Training Bureau, they did 694 hours of fire training, along with 256 of them being EMS. We were able to secure 2 buildings on Sylvania Avenue in front of Southview and 2 buildings on Percentum to be able to use for training over the next several months before they tear them down for demolition. We won't be able to burn in them because you have to do the asbestos abatement, and we're not going to pay to have that done. That's pretty hefty to have it done, but we can do everything in there except burn. So our numbers over the next few months for training should be where I like to see them at. Page 12 is our overtime. Again, we're experiencing a little bit of FMLA, so our numbers are up a little bit, and unfortunately that's some of the stuff we can't control. We did have some funded overtime. We did have the Glass City Marathon and a few of those things. And then we did have a couple of training conferences that I was able to send some guys to, so our numbers on that are up a little bit this month. And then beyond that are several thank yous and appreciative letters that hopefully you guys had a chance to read a few of them, because a couple of them were almost tear-jerkers for me. I know it takes a lot for me to get tear-jerkers, but there was a couple of them in there, so that's all I have. Questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Chief.
Hey, are you guys warm by chance? You gotta turn the air down a little bit here. I got it. Oh, is it that? Oh, got it. Okay.
Both can try it. Mine's at 62.
Is it? But it's 73 in here.
You want the air conditioner?
Yeah, it's just a little warm.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, John.
Paul? All right, monthly report for us, I'll just kind of give you some highlights for April of what we had going on. I'm still, because this was my first full month, I'm still trying to get a handle on, types of crime, what we exactly want to report, because you didn't need all that stuff that was getting reported before. So hopefully by the next monthly report, I'll have it in a different format on there. But the nice thing here is I get to read the crime reports every day, so I'm really getting a feel for what happens here and what doesn't. So it's nice that as chief I can actually read them, because there's not that many, which is a good thing, because crime's good. So the numbers from what everyone's looking last year have all stayed pretty good. I'm amazed at how low burglaries are. Obviously retail theft is what drives everything out here in the township. I've come to that conclusion real quick. I have Walmart, Meijer, and Target addresses memorized because they're on the daily log 4 and 5 times a day. And we're working on some things with the prosecutor's office and stuff to maybe
minimize how often we respond if it's on some of the shoplifting, so that's some stuff to come. Some of the highlights there during the month here, we did have, this, nobody likes to report on this, but it was not complete stranger. There was actually felonious assault. There was a double stabbing, nothing life-threatening. Fortunately, it was at a house party. Everybody knew everybody. By all accounts, it was a mellow party, no big deal, and I think there might have been some mental health issues with one individual. He picked up the knife that they used on the cookie cake and stabbed the girl, and unfortunately not very deep, and then when the boyfriend jumped in, he got stabbed, and then the suspect set the knife down, laid down on the floor, and waited for us to arrive and arrest him. So I think there was clearly some mental health issues going on. So good news there. Bad news, 2 felonious assaults. Good news, arrest, and it wasn't like a stranger, a shooting, or anything like that. So, but it's a kind of a big deal out here. Nice arrest at Meyer for some theft and drugs. 3 individuals. Midnight shift officer about 3 in the morning saw a suspicious vehicle. Set up some surveillance on it. He noticed how it was backing into a spot in front of the entrance, and we watched it, and about 2 minutes later, out comes the other suspect pushing the shopping cart, being chased by the Meyer employees, and he got him stopped and got some drugs and all their property returned, so that was a nice job there on some good proactive patrol. We did have a nice, I don't know if you noticed that, if you go to the seizure under the funds there, next page, keep going. Yeah, right, go back one. Yeah, right there, if you notice the LATF fund, it was about a 5 or 6 year old case from the DEA task force that just came in, and that was our share, so over $45,000 for the LATF fund, so that was a nice unexpected bonus. And we'll look at down the line more of how we utilize that money too, because I'm just trying to get a feel for how it was being spent in the past. Could have been used more, and I think it could have, so we probably, well, not probably, we will be using it more. That's what it's there for, so we need to take advantage of that. But that's awesome, That's a big increase there to the fund. SCO, I think there had been a question you had asked before, Mr. Mahoney, about the range. I double-checked on some of that, just so you all know, because I know you get called from constituents here and there. Pretty much June, July, and August, Monday through Friday. Now, again, these are day shift hours. We very, very rarely would shoot later in the evening, but it's done by 4 o'clock. And, it's not nonstop shooting all day, but pretty much Monday through Friday between the jurisdictions that want it, with Sylvania Township, us using it, the SRT teams, and the other jurisdictions. So June, July, and August, Monday through Friday, it's pretty much booked, so.
Is that 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.?
Yeah, like 8 to 4, yeah, it's 8 to 4. And, usually by the time they get there, I think most shooting's not going to start much before 9 o'clock. So, it's during the day, and it's a range, it's a quarry, it's a vital need, it really is. And we have other agencies that they step up, and they provide targets, they provide plywood, they provide stuff that we need, because they're thankful, they obviously all provide their own ammo. We don't provide that. But, so we had one of the agencies called this year and said, tell us what you need, we'll put it in our budget, and we'll budget for targets, we'll budget for if you need the roof fixed, and other things, so they really do step up and use it, but it's a vital need for it, so. But just so you know, it's during the day, and it is what it is. So, but it's something we definitely need.
Would there be a way to put a sign out in front stating the hours so people can...
Well, actually, what we're going to do, I know, Sammy, because it was brought up, maybe on the website, we're going to have Clarence, I think, Sergeant Whalen will get you the schedule, and Sammy's going to put up on the website.
Great.
So we thought, that would work, so took your suggestion there, and we're going to do that. So, that's it for crime highlights. We've got a resolution here for replacement, resolution number 18064, our replacement police vehicle. That's the one last time I mentioned where the officer got hit on the expressway rear end, and the vehicle was totaled. So the resolution to transfer the money there, that $27,989. The good news, we've already recovered from the insurance company $9,616. We actually already have a check for that from them. And we got 500 more to come. Our insurance company's going after them, Highland is, to get the deductible back as well. So we should, of that cost there, we'll be able to offset 10 grand of that. So that's excellent. And I'm amazed at, I don't know if Sammy or Janet, I don't know whoever worked on getting that money so fast. That's awesome, Janet. That's very impressive. Within a month, we've got checks in hand and everything else, so that's great.
So that's just replacement vehicle, not an extra vehicle, just replacement, so.
I'll offer resolution 064, to purchase replacement police vehicle.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
All right, thanks, Paul.
Do we want to skip over to fiscal so you can scoot, Dave?
That'd be great, because
Yeah.
I'm going to try to scoot out about
Great.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just provide my, well, we have the monthly numbers for April, and you've had a chance to look at them. There's really nothing startling, and everyone's staying within, but it's kind of interesting, though, we already are at roughly 50% of our budgeted amount in our revenue. So, there's really nothing to report on this report. Everything's kind of vanilla right now. So if you don't have any questions, I'll just get right to the resolution. I have Resolution 18-068, Return of Advance of Funds. And recall we did that bulletproof vest recently, and the monies have come in, and so we're allowing us to return the monies to the police fund. So that's what this is about, 18-068.
I'll move resolution 18068, return advance of funds.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
The next resolution is 18-069, it's creation of account number and appropriation from the unencumbered balance. And we need some new account numbers, created, and this has to do with, we need the budget for hiring costs for the general fund for the accounting supervisor. Will incur some expenses in that, and intervention equipment for the fire grant fund to purchase items with the Bureau of Workmen's Comp grant proceeds.
I'll offer resolution 069, creation of account number and appropriation from encumbered balance.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Oh, and then the last one is resolution 18-070. It's a township appropriation from an unencumbered balance, and you can see that it's necessary to increase appropriation from the unencumbered balance, and that would be approved. And we're doing some resurfacing of the fire training site, and also this is to replace the vehicle. It's going to cost us looks like about $28,000 to replace the vehicle that was totaled, and as you heard from the chief, we've got about 10 coming in, so it's going to cost us about $17,000.
I'll offer resolution 18070, appropriation from encumbered balance.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
And that's all I have. And as I was sitting there, my phone was buzzing. That means my spouse is in the parking lot. And so when your spouse calls you, you're going.
That's right. Thanks, Dave.
Okay,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for moving it.
Yeah.
Trustees, I'd like to have the trustees open a hearing for street order petition for Waterside Sylvania Plat 3. Anybody want to, Trustee Mahoney, I'll let you open the hearing.
I'll open a public hearing for street lighting petition for Waterside Plat 3. Anyone here for or against? I'll close the public hearing for Waterside Plat 3 and offer resolution 18049 to approve street lighting petition for Waterside Sylvania Plat 3.
Second.
Call roll. Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
The next item I have is a resolution for execution of safety township contracts. This is for Safety City, and I'll let the chief come up and talk to you about it.
It's resolution number 18-062 to authorize for the safety township contracts. This is for there's 5 teachers and 5 aides that will be working with us that week. It's a half day. There's 5 different classrooms, 21 kids, they have 1 teacher. one aide for each classroom. So it's, like I said, it's a half-day, there's a coordinator that gets paid a little more, but otherwise it's half-day that they all do for June 11th through the 15th, a full week. The cost is actually, they used to do all day, they tell me, so I think this is what it's been the last several years, it's down to the half-day, so it's nothing different than it has been in the past, it's just authorized all that, and if you got any other questions at all about it?
I'll move resolution 18062, authorize execution of Safety City Township contracts.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Moon?
Abstain? All right, thanks, Paul.
The next item I have on the agenda is a continuation that we have asked me in the discussion for the operation and use of off-road vehicle. Mr. Burrell here, who has made some changes to the draft, and he'll present them to you, and then you'll be open for discussion.
We have a number of suggested changes from the draft that was sent to you a few days ago, and I'll go through them if that's all right. In Section 2A, which is the definition of off-road vehicle, we included an exemption for agricultural vehicles, and I also added an exemption for commercial vehicles. So vehicles that are involved in agricultural or commercial activities would be exempted. Agricultural is defined in the code, so it would be agricultural vehicles if that term is defined in the Ohio Revised Code. Section A, or Section 3A, which is the various prohibitions in length and distances. Off-road vehicles operated on parcels of 2.5 acres or less cannot be plainly laudable for a distance of 120 feet. In Section B, 2.5 acres to 5 acres could not be plainly laudable in a distance in excess of 150 feet. From 5 acres to 10 acres, the distance would be 200 feet. And in excess of 10 acres, it would be 250 feet. Section E, the code Section E, which is the prohibits off-road vehicles from being operated basically during the night from 8 p.m. to 10 a.m. We're going to switch that to make that A. That's just a technical thing to have that first. In Section 4, which is grants to the chief of police or someone designated by the board the authority to give an exemption to these regulations. The last sentence is, notwithstanding the foregoing, an exemption may not be granted from the time restrictions of section, and that should be Section 3A. It's going to be the new 3A.
Okay, so this is up for discussion, so we have some people that would like to speak this evening. No particular order, I guess. Brian, sorry if I don't say this right. Is it Tadwerski? Tadkowski, thanks. If you don't mind, just introduce yourself and let us know where you live and all that good stuff for the tape, please.
My name is Brian Tadkowski. I live at 2642 Heisler Road. I've been on the street for quite a while. I actually grew up in a little pond, Bob Oswald used to have one. My mother used to bring me out here when I was 4 years old, so I've been out here almost my whole life. As to my understanding, we're still going on about the Mother's Day issue with the dirt bikes. I'd like to remind everybody that we were issued a permit, a noise exemption permit. We followed everything that was done and said. Everything that happens over there is a very, very family-oriented event, get-together, when we get the bikes out. Mostly the children. It's not like we're a bunch of guys drinking beer riding dirt bikes. That's not what it's about. I encourage anyone that has an issue with it to join us. Am I correct, Greg? Come watch. I get my child every other week in, and I try to squeeze in as much father as I can over that course of time. And I'm personally offended. I mean, we care for the neighbors. We love the neighborhood, believe it or not, and we're made to look like criminals, and I'm just kind of tired of it. The house that I am in now was completely, I don't want to say abandoned, but it was completely neglected for 10, 15 years. Anytime I fire anything up, I own skid steers, I own heavy equipment, anytime I do anything with my lawn, I'm constantly getting called and called and called. I have another incident with another neighborhood in a new development that was allowed to be built off of King Road.
And it doesn't matter what I do, when all efforts are exhausted by the township, I now have the city of Toledo Environmental Services coming out to my house. I didn't even know that they were allowed to come to this jurisdiction. So this opens a whole other issue. It doesn't matter what we do. I mean, we're always in the wrong, and somebody's always complaining and calling. And I just don't agree with new rules and regulations. I mean, this has been our whole life. This has been Greg's whole life. This is what we've done. I mean, we've always been able to ride dirt bikes. I encourage anyone that has an issue with it to at least come and watch and join us before make a snap decision about banning the dirt bikes. I've been personally called. Greg was kind enough to let me stay at his house while I was in between houses. I've had the police show up 3 or 4 times while I'm on the mower, just mowing the grass. Anything we do, it doesn't matter. It's constant. We're being harassed, basically, in a couple of instances. And just before anybody makes a snap decision over it, I really encourage somebody to come out and actually investigate themselves and see what we're about. This is a completely family-oriented thing that we do with our children. And Greg works a lot. A lot of our friends, we have weekend visitation with their children. We're not a bunch of punk people that are out to do whatever we want to do. It's not about that. Not at all. So, thank you for your time.
Thanks for saying something.
Thank you.
Doug, sorry again, is it Klutz?
You got it.
Okay. Come on up and introduce yourself, please.
Okay.
My name is Douglas Klutz. I reside at 2740, and as such, Hessel Road, excuse me. The issue has become that with the development of the King Acres, we have a gentleman there that has been constantly harassing us on whatever we do. Brian has touched on some of the issues with the equipment. And as such, we've had, no matter what we've attempted to do in the past, anything, it's gotten out of control, and best thing I can say is we view it as harassment. Okay, and I'll leave it at that.
Do you think your neighborhood is the only area that has any zoning or noise violations besides Heisler Road? The township's a pretty big area, and there are a few areas I certainly know of that have had multiple issues that we're talking about tonight besides
We have one
Heisler
specific
Road.
individual by me right now that has been constantly complaining.
Okay.
How many have we had? I mean, out of curiosity, that was one of the questions I was going to ask the chief and the zoning people is, how many complaints do we get a year, and how many do we get on four-wheelers in general in the township?
Off the top of my head, I could not answer that truthfully, but I mean, I can find out.
Yeah, I think that's important information to know.
So how many, like off-road vehicles or just noise complaints or?
Both, if we could. Because I know we've had issues with some bars and loud music and things in the past couple of years, but this is the first time I've ever run across off-road vehicles and stuff being an issue.
And it's not only limited to off-road vehicles. The complaints we're getting is simply for operating a variety of different equipment, such as chainsaws, splitters, the skid steers that Brian's talking about, trying to do some things around our property to improve it. We're getting calls about complaints like that.
So on the east side of Heisler, how big are those lots there?
Mine's about 2.4, Brian's at 2640, it's just a shade under 2.
Okay.
And what it amounts to is we're on each side of that new development of King Acres. And the first gentleman who moved in there has been a pain. I've got other words for him, but
We're going to refrain from calling names, so...
yes.
If I read this correct, John, it doesn't apply to lawnmowers, or is that correct? I think we spell out mini bikes, go-karts.
Chainsaws, lawnmowers, they would be covered by the township's regular noise resolution, which is not covered by this. This is strictly off-road vehicles.
Can I add something? Because this isn't a cumulative, this isn't just the dirt bikes. They hear the noise that comes from the equipment, they hear the noise from everything, and they instantly go after the dirt bike thing. again, that's why I encourage you to come check it out before you do it. You know, we all of the rules, we're all 7 a.m., 10 a.m., we're well aware of that, but the point is anything we do, it doesn't matter. They can't get us on the heavy equipment, they can't get us on the chainsaws, so they go after us with little dirt bikes, and the only ones that are hurt are the kids.
Chief, I hate to give you another one, but could you get us a list of the complaints about the noise on Heisler? You know, a cumulative, I think it probably, you know, I don't know when it started. Obviously, it was escalated a year ago at Mother's Day, but if you could go back maybe a year and a half and get all the complaints, and then we can start to put things in. If there isn't an incident, would it be still logged, or how do we keep track of those types of things?
It should be in the CAD. I mean, if a call's made, we should have it in CAD.
Okay.
Go back and put the right type code in for noise type complaints and see what pops up.
And the officer, if he went out there, said dismissed it, and then went on, or there would be some comments in there from the officer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So go back to 2017, start of that?
That'd be great.
2017.
No, it's, you know, I gotta tell you too, it's not just, we have a few neighbors that just have to nitpick and do the whole thing. I had EPA out there, no, full compliance, no problems, no issues. I had the township come out about, you know, fires or burning, or the leaves or the areas, et cetera, et cetera. I was found, you know, completely okay and, you know, doing everything right. And then now I have another neighbor that's calling EPA. My point is, there's a few neighbors out there that just, I don't know if they need a hobby or if this is just what their life is about. Come on. I mean, you know, this is the reason I moved out here. I love this town. I mean, this is why I moved out here.
And I know that's one of those streets too, that you border, you know, residential neighborhoods, and yet there's a lot that goes on Heisler. I've known Paul Croyer that lives out there for years and things, and I just know it's one of those transition streets, so it is gonna be difficult to apply something that fits everybody.
Paul Croyer's my neighbor. He actually offered to come today, but he was a little bit too busy. Paul Croyer actually brought most of the zoning rules and laws there and that are enforced today.
Yeah.
He's right across the street from 2642.
I'm well aware of Mr. Croyer. He's an incredible man.
Okay.
All right,
That's all I have.
thanks for coming tonight.
You're welcome.
How about Doris Komas-Zarek?
Good evening. My name is Doris Komasarek from 2520 Heisler Road. I'm Greg's mom. I'm here to address everyone because everyone talks about the Mother's Day episode. That was something that was allowed and permitted. That was something that when that date was chosen, it took a date. No one knew it was Mother's Day, but it was something that was for families. The guys brought their bikes out, a lot of them were widowed, and the moms got to enjoy those bikes that the sons brought out from their dads. That, you know, it was a nice a nice day, but everything was permitted. And so now it's supposed to be such a big thing, we even had the news there. But I think this, now, there hasn't been any type of episode since that date. There has, and they have had my bikes out. Believe me, my grandson got a new bike this year for his birthday as well. But, you know, my son's been in that home since he was 10 years old. And I think this whole episode about zoning so that there's no dirt bikes, that means my 12-year-old grandson can't follow in his dad's footsteps. That also was my husband that's deceased. He also rode dirt bikes on that property before he passed. He did that for years and years. So it's a tradition in the family. And you're going to take that right away from him just because some cranky person doesn't like the noise? I mean, we've done everything we could possibly do to abide by and, you know, do everything. And it's so unjust to have this come up. I mean, just listening to the past things that have been said at this meeting when my son wasn't even aware of it, it's slander, a lot of these things that have been said behind his back. I mean, I've listened to some of these meetings that you folks have had and talking about Greg, and it's like, what are you guys talking about? I mean, the subject matter that you guys have discussed here, when, you know, he wasn't even aware of anything going on. And it's slander. and it's harassment for sure, as Brian has mentioned. But, to go after off-road vehicles, he's got vehicles that are, quote, licensed, that can be on road, but they're also something you can ride off the road. So, at this point, come on, because at this point, it's probably going to be a legal issue. If you guys try to go and have this go into some kind of ordinance, I'm sure there's going to be money that's going to be spent. I'm going to put my money down on it, but this is ridiculous. To tell people what he can do on his 3 acres plus land, that he's been paying taxes. I paid taxes on that property for over 20 years, and now you're going to tell me what we can and can't do on property for a dirt bike? I mean, this is just unforgivable that you guys are even discussing or even considering this. And if this gets passed, this is unforgivable on your part, because this is not fair. You've got a little guy that wants to play, the kids come, and actually, we've had the police there for kids riding dirt bikes, and the policemen come, and they're just saying, are you kidding me? It's little kids riding little dirt bikes, and they're not that loud. And I mean, it's just unbelievable. Brian was called for for his noise, and it was mowing the grass. I mean, it's just, I really want you guys to consider that this is not something that you want Sylvania Township to be noted for your singling out a parent, just wanting to have, continue the family atmosphere at his home with his dirt bikes. Because, I mean, Greg's got his dirt bike that he got when he was young. It's still running. If you take care of your equipment, you still have it. And that's the way our family's been. We take care of things and we still have it. That's why I wanted him to have our property. That's the thing. I want you to be aware that this is just wrong, wrong, wrong.
Hey, Doris, I'm not disagreeing with you, and I think if you listen quick, we're not voting on anything tonight, because we're certainly up for discussion. And, but if you listen to Mr. Burrell, the attorney, he mentioned, we're not telling you you can't have them out there. We're just telling you to be respectful of a certain footage off the property line. Well, hey, excuse me, I can't, no offense, but I can't have you yell from the crowd. It's not being disrespectful, I'm just, out of respect for the tape and the people that are listening, we need to know who's talking, so. So again, we're not voting tonight. I can't thank you enough for your comments. We're not there yet, and I agree. I mean, there's things that,
we need to check things out, because, I mean, it's just unbelievable. You'll see that there hasn't been any type of episode, and when you guys are saying about that Mother's Day, that was something that Bolme permitted. So, I don't know why there's a big issue about that episode, because that was something that was allowed, it was permitted, and so you guys allowed it. And then you're putting your finger on that, saying that particular day, and it's like, that shouldn't even be come into play at this point, because that was something that was permitted. That was a special event that was permitted for that particular day. And then you guys are pointing fingers at it, saying, oh, bad, bad, bad. No, it wasn't bad. Someone thought it was noisy, but it was permitted to be noisy that day. Of course, it might have been the poor date of, the date of the 18th, but who knew it was Mother's Day? It was something that was just a date that everyone had off, and it was wonderful for the people that participated. Made the news, which was unbelievable, but, it's just one of those things that this is just really very disheartening, that this has come to an ordinance to tell people what you can do and not do on your property after you've paid your taxes for the last 20-some years. I mean, that's crazy. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for your coming tonight. Greg?
My name is Greg Commissary. I'm the owner at 2520 Heisler Road. My parents were the previous owners to the place. They bought the place in 1995. I have a couple off-road vehicles that have been there since my parents moved in 95. My son's sitting here in the crowd. He's 12 years old. He's got bikes. That as far as this off-road deal, that kind of thing, that it would affect a couple of the bikes that I have, but as far as doing ordinance on off-road vehicles, after we had this whole meeting back last year, Actually, it was the 16th last year we were in here discussing all of this. Shortly thereafter, I ended up going out and purchasing a 2007 Aprilia RSV 550. It is a dual sport bike. It is licensed, it is plated, it is 100% street legal, but it is a dual sport on-road, off-road bike. Therefore, it's not even classified as an off-road vehicle. Also, the Yamaha Rhino that I have, that is a side-by-side, was put through all of the hoops, that kind of thing. That is legally titled, plated, and insured as a pickup truck. That it is both for utilitarian purpose and for toy, that it has a bed on it, that I use it for processing firewood, I use it for moving around leaves, dirt, all that kind of thing. But it also goes around the yard as far as my son will go ahead and just in the yard, play with that vehicle, that kind of thing. He's got several bikes of his own that I have not seen a cop out there since the whole date that we did the sound ordinance exemption party. And it was written out on paper that it was an exemption. It wasn't, we're going to try to be quiet, anything like that. It was a permit that said we were exempt to the sound ordinance that day. And that's exactly what we did. That is the last time within about the last 10 years that I've put an open invite out for the big bikes. And actually my big bike got broke that day and it's still sitting in the barn. I bought all the parts for it to fix it, but working the hours that I work, that kind of thing, I haven't had time to get it up into the garage to tear it down to fix that particular bike. There have been, like my son's bikes out there, that my pit bikes have been out there. I do have that Aprilia that is a full-size bike that is legally plated for the street. I don't know where we're trying to go with this. That particular lot is 3.778 acres, so it would fit into your 3 to 5 acre parcel. And if I'm not mistaken, we have Mr. Wright over here that's pushing this agenda. I'm fairly certain that his house is closer than what your allotted distance for being able to hear anything would be anyway. That he's the second house in the housing development from my house, and the corner of my property, I'm going to guess is probably about 100 foot from his house, give or take a couple feet. That you're still going to be within your audible distance as far as the size of the lot and distance away from it. I have gone ahead, I moved probably 50, 60 ton of dirt to that back corner of the property to try to do some sort of baffle back there. I have pulled the permit with the hours that I'm working and everything else going on. I have not had a chance for it. I do have a permit on file with the township to put a 6-foot privacy fence up right against the existing fence, and the permit also lists putting a 6-foot privacy fence on top of roughly a 10-foot mound back there, because when we had our discussion back in December of 2016, they came up with a magic number of 16 foot for a sound barrier to block some kind of noise. I have the equipment, I have the dirt, that kind of thing, that my intention is to put a 10-foot mound around that back corner and put a 6-foot privacy fence on top of it, and then go ahead and put some ornamental bushes, that kind of thing, up the back side of the hill to increase the size of that hill as well. I'm trying to work with them, but I'm not giving up the toys.
Hey, Greg, let me ask you a question. Since Mother's Day, have you ridden your motorcycle back there at all?
Yes.
Okay, have you had any complaints from the police since then?
I have not seen an officer at the property.
Okay, so it means that you've not had any complaints from the neighbors?
We don't know that, though. That's why I'm asking.
Well, yes, Yeah.
We're not 100% sure if anybody
They
called
would
or
come
not.
out to see if there was a complaint.
Not necessarily.
Okay, got it, okay.
And I've had a few different times where I've been told, yeah, there've been complaints, but if they drive by and they deem it not to be excessive, or if, for whatever reason, they did not decide to show up that day, that they may go back into housing development, say it's not excessive, they might drive past the front of the house, say that there's nothing illegal, nothing excessive. As many times as I've had police officers out there, I have never been issued a citation, and every time that they have been out there, they come out, they look around, they verify that every bike has full exhaust on it, and they tell us there's nothing illegal going on here, continue, have a good time.
Got it.
That I have never been issued a sound ordinance violation.
Got it, okay.
That I had the snowmobiles out in the winter, obviously in the wintertime, we don't have people sitting out under decks, that the snowmobiles are just as loud as the bikes are, that kind of thing, that...
Sure.
Had sleds out, we played pond hockey on the pond. I've had bikes out that, last year Cooper got a KX65 for his birthday. This year he got a KX85 for his birthday. Size-wise, he's not quite ready for the 85, but within the next year, he should be pretty well there.
Sure.
He's got a PW50, a CRF50, an XR70, a KX65, and a KX85 for his bikes. That I have the XR100, I have a KLX 125, I have a KX250, I have the Aprilia RSV 550, and then KX 250 for my actual motocross bike. That those are my personal bikes that are there all the time. That then the Aprilia is street legal. Obviously, the Harley that I rode here today is street legal. My Triumph by Crotch Rocket is street legal. There's a Yamaha Raz that I can't imagine.
I get it, you got a lot of equipment, I get it.
Whatsoever
It's all good,
complaining
yeah.
about the Raz,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it would also be considered as an off-road vehicle, being that
Sure.
I do not have it plated or anything at the moment.
All right, well, I kind of get ahead, you got a lot of cool equipment for your son too, that's fun stuff, so.
And going back to this incident over here a couple doors down, that I have the backhoe as my personal piece of equipment, that I don't use it for a day-to-day job. It's a toy, it's a personal piece of equipment. That we've had issues discussing the rainwater runoff and having to clear out ditches and that kind of thing. How many times has my backhoe been sent down to your place to clean out that ditch within the last year?
Last year and a half, probably 6 times. The development that came in here, Mr. Moline had his contractors block the back drainage ditch that dedicated into Kings Acres. Just completely block it off. Mr. Corey's basement flooded. Bill Klebold, Fort Stump, his basement flooded. My Eastfield flooded. We couldn't get any results from the county or the township fast enough, so I got it back home and dug it myself.
The piece of equipment's there, that kind of thing, that it's bought, it's paid for, it's my personal toy.
Sure.
That we went ahead and sent it down there, and when they put in that development so that they could get a little bit more dry out there for them to do their work, they blocked the drainage in the area and flooded everything else. And I don't know if the backhoe's made it back to the house yet or not. I've been at work. It might still be at your place now.
You ain't getting it back.
Well, thank you for sharing your time with us tonight.
Okay.
One more, actually two more, I guess. Rob Wright?
Rob Wright, 7532 Hollow Creek. I've made some notes, probably not as many as I should have on some of the previous speakers. First of all, we do not view anyone as criminals. That's never been our intent. So I'm going to make that clear. To the best of my knowledge, no one in our area has ever called and complained about mowing. So I'm going to get that clear as well. I do know that, and I don't know who it was, I got a report yesterday that someone was operating chainsaws at 11 o'clock at night, but no one, they were afraid to call the police. Regarding the event last Mother's Day, there was an exemption, but there's such a thing as respect. And I don't think there was respect shown to our neighborhood or those around us on that day. And that was not the only day. We've been putting up with this on a lot of weekends. I actually have some recordings from October of 2016 that I made from my property that is in excess of 200 feet away. I'd be happy to play those, not necessarily tonight, but another time. And it's not so much the noise, but it goes on, and it's not every day, it's not 24 hours a day, we understand that. But it goes on for hours. And in addition to the noise, the exhaust fumes. We are unable to actually, if we were able to tolerate the noise, the exhaust fumes are over the top with multiple bikes. So that's one of the issues that brought us to the ongoing weekends and extended hours, and we tried to reach that compromise that Mr. Komisarek referred to in December a year ago. That did not work out well at all. I do recall there was conversation about a Sandberg. I don't remember the specifics, but that's something that I think if Mr. Komisarek wants to go to the expense and the trouble to do that, that's where everything is right. But we also have a right to and I think it's spelled out in the noise ordinance, the right to enjoy our property without the objectionable noise and the objectionable fumes. I also want to make note, Channel 13 was out there on the 16th, and also they recorded on the news, I think, no, the 14th. They recorded on the news this meeting. It was brought to my attention that Channel 13 put this on their Facebook page. And I did I looked at it for about 4 or 5 days, did not respond. I would classify a lot of the comments that were made, and a lot of them directed at me, basically as hateful speech. Not particularly kind. I chose not to respond. I didn't think it was necessary. There were threats made against our neighborhood because of our exercising our right to enjoy our neighborhood. I don't think that was indicative of cooperation. My family actually felt very, very threatened about it. I'm not blaming Mr. Komisarek directly, but a lot of the people I think that were there were not necessarily kind to our right to have, to enjoy our backyard. That was disappointing. On another note, I want to thank the police chief. I believe this is National Police Week, so our neighborhood would like to thank Chief for all that you do to protect us. I want to also thank the firefighters for everything they do to protect our neighborhood and help us. And from a personal standpoint, I want to thank the township maintenance crew for cleaning the streets and keeping the snow away and everything else. I've never had the chance to do that, but we appreciate everything that's done for our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Last one here, Nick Bondi.
I'll keep it short.
Hey, Nick.
Appreciate it.
I'm just worried about everybody else.
Hey, Nick, do me a favor, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself, address, just for the tape, people that might be listening.
I'm just worried about everybody else. You got one street here, and you're gonna affect the whole township, I suppose. So, that to think about. Also, who's gonna measure the sound? I mean, do you have a sound engineer, or, is that something you're gonna put into a budget, or?
Well, we simplified that with being plainly audible, so if you can hear it from those distances, because I think our noise ordinance did have some sort of decibel reading and things that were intertwined with it, so this language is a little bit more freely interpreted.
Okay, so there's no set?
Yes.
There's no set limit?
As long as it's plainly audible at those set distances. Yes.
Okay. But I'm just like,
No, it will affect a lot of people with, who may not have been...
One street's gonna affect the whole
Yes.
township, so
Yes.
there's that to think about. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Alrighty, thanks for everybody spending the time to come here tonight.
I would like to say, I'm concerned that we're targeting. I mean, when our attorney meets with one side of the party and doesn't request the police logs and that sort of stuff before we get into it, and allows one party to drive this ordinance, I think we're specifically, targeting and harassing people, and I'm concerned that this board is dangerously moving in that direction.
Thank you, Mr. Genuine, that was for the whole one.
I mean, I can't believe that our attorney didn't get the logs from the police, they didn't do anything, but they sat down with one side of this party and got their input on how far away these distances should be. I mean, 125 feet, I can yell out, and again, we're dealing with lawnmowers and leaf blowers and things, and I got some kooky guy in my neighborhood that comes home at 9 PM and starts a lawnmower up, and, that's just what neighbors do.
Actually, the resolution that's presented to you was the main work of the police department, the zoning department, and Mr. Simcoe. The final resolution actually...
Well, your email says that you met with Mr. Wright.
I have met with Mr. Wright, but the final product...
Did you meet with any of these guys?
No.
Okay.
The final product was actually based primarily on suggestions from Darrell, from Dave, and from Lieutenant Austin at the police department. The distances were just suggested distances. The distances that are here now actually came from Mr. Zeigler. So the resolution that you see now, actually, almost none of it came from that neighborhood. So it was something that we worked on within the township.
For discussion only.
Yeah. Discussion only.
Right.
Those distances.
We're not voting on anything this...
Those distances were just put in there as placeholders, so when it came here, you could decide what distances, if any you want to do. I mean, you're not obligated to do this, obviously. I was asked by the trustees to write this, to prepare this, and that's what I did. But I just want to make clear that this was done primarily with input from township officials.
Thanks, John. Alrighty, that is it. Nobody signed in for hearing of the public for non-agenda items, so I'd like to make a motion to go to executive session at 6:39 to discuss employment in the fiscal department.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Genuine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes,
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
before we adjourn,
Okay, we're good.
We are back out of executive session at 7:02. Roll call.
second, you're making a motion to come out of executive.
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Genuine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes, and we're not taking any action,
Nope.
and I make a motion that we adjourn at 7:02.
Second?
Okay, call the roll, Mr. Genuine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes. Good.
You ready, Luke? See you, Luke.